All right, live once again. And I know that I don't really have a set time for when I do these. It's just when time permits. I try to squeeze a live stream in. I'm trying to basically do a stream once a week. I'd like to do some more videos, but today I was like, you know what? I got to do a live stream. I got to do something. I almost just recorded a short thing and then was going to edit it real quick, put it on there. I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to do a live stream and talk about the three-piece in a soda that Iconic Comics has given the indie comics world, the indie comics arena. If you into fighting and UFC and stuff like that, the sort of like inside joke or whatever, the two-piece in the soda, the three-piece in the soda, that sort of thing. So yeah, big news today dropped. I can finally talk about this. A lot of times there's stuff that I hear about or I know about, and it's like, you can't say anything. Loose lips sink ships. You got to keep it under wraps. Don't say a word because you don't want to spoil anything. And this announcement delivered. So, long story short, well, you know what? Let's let Sven, the newest addition to Iconic Comics, talk about it. So hopefully this works here. Let me put my volume up a little bit and we'll just go from there. So here we go.
Ever dream of having a three-way? Well, get ready to have your dreams come true as Butch Killigan joins Iconic Comics on the same day as the release of Black Ops 6 and Argentina 4. What does pizza and Iconic Comics have in common? They always deliver.
All right, so
Ever dream?
Sorry, this promo is out of control in a very funny way. So giving you an idea of what Butch Killigan is going to be about. So I talked to Sven not too long ago. I had my first sort of conversations with him, and it was on 80s action movies. And let's see, I bring up Butch Killigan. 80s action movies, Stallone's Cobra, Stallone's Demolition Man, Butch Killigan, where Butch Killigan is going in the future. And it sounds like it's right up my alley. So looking forward to that. Sven, in my conversations with him, has been a very, very nice guy. He is obviously clearly very talented. So Miss Martin Muses, thanks for tuning in. So like I was saying, and Timothy Lim and everybody else, so 3 different books campaigns are essentially dropping simultaneously on November 1st. So there's the Butch Killigan campaign, boom, Kickstarter. Arc Athena 4, Eric Canetti's series, is dropping its book exclusive to the Iconic Comics website. And obviously, where is it? Where are we? Black Ops Volume 6 in Omnibus, Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini's series, the crossover, also known as AKA Iconic X Antarctic, that has all sorts of properties. Some of them, I think there's been a couple that still have not been announced. It'll be a surprise. But we do know for a fact that Soul Finder will also be included in that. Thank you, Timothy Lim. Thank you, Mark Pellegrini. Actually, I got to say a big thank you to Tim and Mark later on. There's a big picture thank you that I would like to say to these guys as well. So I wanted to kind of give people something to think about as they think about the broader indie comics landscape. I want them to think about certain questions. So I will pose those to you. But also, let me see, blah, blah, blah. Tim had that. They also have the Indiegogo page for Black Ops if you're into Indiegogo. So obviously that as well. So all these signups are there. And then obviously Arc Athena, if you haven't seen, the trailer is live. I think I could play this. I kind of want to play it all at once. I don't think YouTube will get me, and I think Eric would be perfectly fine with me, but I could play a little bit of it, pause it, and we'll continue on. So check out Eric's page, subscribe to his YouTube channel, all of that sort of stuff. Slender Dad, I need to catch up on Soul Finder. Too much life interfering with my reading. No problem, Slender Dad. Everything's available at Iconic Comics. Soul Finder Volume 4 and Noctis Terrari are on the way. Like I've said before, there was about 20 pages that need to be colored. And then after they get lettered, boom, we're there. We're ready to go. The short story Noctis Terrari by Eric Canetti, that's finito. It is all colored. It's the only thing it has to be lettered. And Bill Williams just said, hey, just circle back with me when you're ready, and we'll do that. So I actually probably should circle back with Bill, but I would think that will take him not even a day to do, since it's a short story. So not worried about that. Anyway, good things are happening. Let's play a little bit of Eric Canetti's trailer for Arc Athena Book 4. All right, I'm paranoid about YouTube's algorithm getting me, even though I'm friends with Eric and all this sort of stuff. So I'm just pausing it really quick. Long story short, I guess I could say this. So there were people that were saying back in the day, not too long ago, last year, that Eric Canetti, he's out at Iconic Comics. He's gone, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. And we used to sort of like joke about it off the grid. And then when he came up with this Iconic Comics, the logo with the bullet holes in it, again, I don't think he would mind. Eric, if this is inappropriate, I apologize. But we were joking about how like there was going to be people out there that were going to see the Iconic Comics with the bullet holes, and they're going to be like, it's some sort of subliminal sign from Eric Canetti that he secretly hates Iconic Comics, or like something along those lines. Like they're gonna like just take it. It was like, no, it's actually just a cool thing. It's just the start of a trailer, and it's got bullet holes in it, so it's cool or whatever. But people will just jump to all sorts of crazy conclusions about stuff because they really, really want certain things to be true about Iconic Comics. But the reality is that Arc Athena Book 4 is going to be on the Iconic Comics website in the very near future. All right, so you got the Art Germ exclusive cover there. So I heard that there was some dude that was bashing Iconic Comics yesterday, but then he heard about the Art Germ cover and he was just like, basically like kissing Eric's butt. And he was like, I don't know about Eric Canetti though. That Doug guy and that Timothy Lou guy, they suck. But Eric Canetti's got an Art Germ cover. Ooh. Because they know that if Eric Canetti is able to get an Art Germ cover, they're just like, maybe, because they're all opportunists. They're like, I don't want to say anything about Eric Canetti because maybe one day I might be able to be like friends with him. Maybe I can get an Art Germ cover too, or something along those lines. So anyway, Art Germ cover. All right. So in addition to all of that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's also on the first day for physical backers will get a free print. Let's see if I have that correct. Yep. First day physical backers will receive a free mini print with their order. There's 3 in total, 1 for each book. Butch Killigan, Black Ops 6, Arc Athena 4. All right. So here's a preview of all of the prints that that people might be able to get here in the very near future. So yeah, so the 3-piece is the 3 books, and the soda is the free prints for first day physical backers. Okay, so I don't really have any political news today, so this is basically going to just be on Iconic Comics and stuff like that. Ascendant Fiction, it's a cool trailer. I should probably check out Arc Athena sometime soon. Yeah, very cool series. The only thing, so originally when it first came out, I was a little nervous for Eric because he had all 6 of them like mapped out. Everything was ready to go. I think all the scripts were essentially done. And I was worried if there was going to be like a lag time between issues, how that would affect things. And if people would mistakenly think that each volume was a self-contained tale as opposed to just part of a larger whole that would take place in the first 6 volumes, like how they would react to that. But every single book keeps getting better and better and better because it's part of a larger whole. So just don't go in thinking of it like basically like Soul Finder, where each book it is its own self-contained tale, but it is part of a larger whole. Something along those lines. But yeah, no, check it out. Mr. X, thanks for tuning in. Paul's NYC, appreciate it as well. All right, so where do we start here? Let's go back to Iconic Comics. All right, so things to think about. When I saw this news drop today, and I've been thinking about it anyway, but I think about where Iconic Comics started, and I think about where it is today. So, like, the inception of Iconic Comics, I go back in my mind, and I think back to conversations that I had with Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini, and they were doing Black Ops, like the first Black Ops, and they were doing their parody books. And then I did Soul Finder with Tim, and obviously Mark helped out with that. And we were talking about fulfillment issues, how that was going to be an issue going forward, distribution, how that was going to be a problem, and all sorts of other problems. And basically, we were all on the same page about what needed to be done and how you could essentially plant the seeds for success by putting talented and disciplined creators under one roof who could consistently put forth good work and maintain a certain level of professionalism, try and lower the price point, give people different options, explore into merchandise when appropriate, having quality storytelling be the main driver for having grassroots support that would actually have the readers do heavy lifting for you in terms of promo for the books and all of these sorts of things. Way back in the day, this is like 2017, 2018, and then essentially having individuals, because we didn't come from the mainstream comic industry, just pat you on the head and be like, ha, 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 you guys are so cute, man. Why don't you just go to the little kids table and let the adults do it? There's adults in the room. All right, little Timmy, a little Dougie, little Mark. All right, we're just gonna put you in the corner over there. Just all right, very cute ideas that you have about fulfillment and distribution and storytelling and art and very cute. All right, let the adults do their thing. Bye. Okay, so now you fast forward. Think about the sheer variety of the content that Iconic Comics offers. When you have Kindred Heavens, when you got Butch Killigan, when you got Arc Athena, when you got Black Ops, when you got Punchline, when you got Common America, when you got Soul Finder, when you got Long Harbor, Alejandro Mirabal, All of these books, if you go to the website, look at the different genres that are offered, look at the different audiences that they would reach, look at the various skill sets that all of the creators have. Matt Weldon, Bill Williams, Alejandro Mirabal, Bryce and Scott Malin, Eric Canetti, obviously Tim, Mark, blah, 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 blah. Just keep going down the list. So very interesting. The infrastructure that was put in place down in Texas with the fulfillment and distribution teams that are literally putting out thousands and thousands of books every single year. So you oftentimes see the campaigns, but when a campaign is fulfilling, whether it's Tim's or the Kindred Heavens guys or whatever, you'll see the pictures on social media or whatever. But then there's usually a lull in between. There are literally books going out all the time in between campaigns. Obviously, not the same volume, but on a consistent basis, there are books going out. I literally just got a royalty check from Iconic Comics last night, which will be recycled back into Soul Finder because I have pages that need to be colored. I got I already paid Jeff Spokes, Alejandro Mirabal's doing stuff. He's already done stuff for Volume 5. He's going to be doing something for Noctis Terrari. Dave Dorman, I got to pay Dave Dorman for Volume 5. All of this sort of stuff, boom, just goes right back into it. So think about the fulfillment and delivery track record. Timothy Lim mentioned 16 campaigns in a row going off without a hitch. So think about that. Think about the readers that do in-depth reviews of all of these books. Right before I came on here, the Spore Hacker, it came up in my feed that he's doing a Soul Finder Infinite Ascent review at 3 p.m. Pacific time. It's going up on his channel. So guys like them, literally doing in-depth reviews of all of the Iconic Comics books. Think about the discipline it takes to ignore the bait that is put out there by people that can't stand your guts. I mean, like I said, there's people bashing Tim and me apparently yesterday on streams, and half the time these days, as soon as they bash us, they put it behind some members only wall, or they delete it, or they private it, because that's the thing that people do these days, is they want to get all the benefit of sliming you and lying about you to other people, but then they don't want the scrutiny that comes with that. They don't want the track record. They don't want the footprints in the sand of where they've been and what they've done. So they put it behind members only walls, so people with goldfish brains don't know. They'll just blindly believe whatever they hear on a daily basis. Douglas Ernst and Timothy Lim are the devil, blah, or whatever. So think about, not actually putting these people on public blast on a daily basis when you want to do that. Think about the discipline it takes to do that. Think about the ways that Iconic Comics uses positive ways to bring about attention to what it's doing. Again, boom, 3-piece in a soda. This was something that was talked about with basically the brainchild of this one. In many ways, was again Timothy Lim. It all like everyone's kind of like bouncing ideas back and forth and talking about stuff, and then things just organically come up. It's like, hey, wouldn't that be cool if blah blah blah? Wouldn't that be cool if blah blah blah? And that's the other thing that I really really like about Iconic Comics is you have all these people that are doing their own thing at their own pace, and they realize that the hard work, the important work in terms of the seeds of success are going to be done in solitude. There are long periods where you need to be by yourself, alone, with your creative team or whatever. You cannot be on social media. You can't be on Twitter. You can't be on YouTube. You have to close off yourself to the world. We're behind a door. We're in our own room, drawing our books, writing our books, doing our research. So you have all these guys doing that, but then they come together and they're just like, hey, where would it make sense? Where would it be logical for your characters to interact with my characters? Hey, I got this story and I was thinking that Father Redder might be appropriate for me to, to use in this particular story, blah, 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 blah. Hey, do you think, blah, blah, blah. It just keeps going on. So it's very cool to be part of a creative group of people where everybody is doing their own thing, but they are laser focused on doing the right thing in the right situation at any particular moment of any given day, but working together where it makes sense. So there's that. Think about how Iconic Comics, it does not need social media. It does not, how do I say it? Social media is not a slave master to Iconic Comics. Social media is a tool that is leveraged where appropriate in order to get word out about the books. But like I was saying earlier, it's the grassroots support of readers like Matthew here, Brett, Paul's Ascendant Fiction, Mr. X, everybody that's tuning in. All of you guys have done like insane Herculean levels of lifting in terms of promoting these books, keeping momentum going, letting people know to check out the website, all of that sort of stuff. You don't need to be on YouTube 24 hours a day. You don't need to be on Twitter 24 hours a day if you have readers that are eagerly awaiting the next installment of your books. And so, again, I like, since very early on, Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini were on the same page as myself with this sort of long-term vision and what was possible if you had a group of people that all adhered to that vision for an extended amount of time. It's like, all right, present Doug, all right, present Tim, I'm going to try and do something that is going to benefit future Doug and future Tim and future Mark and future Eric and future Sven. Future Sven. All right, so like I said, hard work, important work oftentimes takes place in solitude. And then think about the number of shows and conventions that all of us have been to in the past couple of years. I was telling someone earlier today on the phone, I was in West Texas. I was at Bell County Comic-Con. I was in Arkansas. I was in Portland. And now I'll be in the very near future. I'm flying November 2nd to North Carolina for North Carolina Comic-Con. And I'm meeting up with Tim and Mark and Eric Canetti. So we will be there. If you're anywhere close to North Carolina Comic-Con, we would love to see you. Shows, books. It's been awesome. Let's see. Paul's, Doug, that is exactly how social media should be used, as a tool, but sadly, social media is used by too many tools. I was thinking that right before I got to the end of the sentence. I was just like thinking we're on the same page, Paul's, so appreciate that. Let's see. Trevor, I've always wanted to get into comics, but I honestly don't like the industry in its current state. I have ideas that I fear will get pushed back by crazies. Can I still get into comics? Trevor, the only thing that would be holding you back from getting into comics is you, ultimately. So that's the thing about 2023 and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and whether Rumble, all these different you have all sorts of tools that are available to you now that when I was a kid, when I was younger, they were not there. They just simply were not there. And now you can grow your own audience. And here's the thing is, a lot of times, no, first of all, success is, you have to come up with your own definition of success, because your definition of success is not going to be the same as somebody else's. So if your definition of success is, I want to move 100,000 books in 10 years, I don't even know whatever. But you first have to come up with your definition of success. And then your brain can break it down like complicated math problems into manageable bits. And when you just take it step by step by step, you could get to where you want to go. So for me, I just want to be able to I really just want to put my books out into the world. I don't have a set number that I have to sell, but if I'm affecting people in a positive way, I've said before, when I get emails or messages from people on Twitter saying that their faith was reignited after reading the series, or they're getting into comics after they got out of comics because of Iconic Comics and Soul Finder. They're back into it or whatnot. Like those are the things. That's success to me. But success to me is not going to be the same as you. So long story short, you can make the books that you want, and there is an audience out there for you. And then it's just a matter of figuring out how am I going to reach this audience. But there's essentially an infinite number of ways to reach the audience. It's like you're only held back by your imagination and, again, discipline. And I mean, there's other elements of it too. I would say like humility is also a big part, because a lot of times you need other people to help you. And if you don't have humility to be like, dude, I need help, and you try and take everything on yourself, then you're going to set yourself up for failure. So that leads into what I was going to say before about thanking Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini, who helped me from the very beginning with Soul Finder. Were incredibly important at the laying the foundation for Soul Finder. I multiple times over the years I have needed Tim's help, and I said, like, Tim, I need your help. Like, you know, can you help me put together the afterward page where I, you know, it's nice and it's photoshopped and it's blah 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 blah, whatever. I could just go down the list. So anyway, how do I say this? This is my big thank you to Tim and Mark. So a couple years ago, I left the newspaper. I worked at the Washington Times for nearly a decade. I was in DC for a long time. Again, nearly a decade. I worked at the Heritage Foundation, then I worked at the Washington Times. And when I started doing this comic book thing, after the second book, I was like, I think as long as I could retain a certain number of readers, I could literally just keep doing this over and over and over again, hopefully grow the readership, obviously. But if I can maintain X amount number of readers per year, I could actually just do this. I could just concentrate on this. And so I left the newspaper. But I left because part of it was I wanted to help build Iconic Comics. I believed in the vision of Iconic Comics, and I wanted to be a part of that. And so it was like, all right, if Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini are involved in Iconic Comics, I know these guys. I know that they are focused. I know that they are good men. I know that they are in this for the long haul. And they're just good dudes. So I'm going to take this risk. That is in part, you know, obviously I had to have my own stuff together in terms of Soul Finder, but they were also a component of that I was looking to Iconic Comics, the people that run it. Okay, we got, you know, these people, these are the people that run Iconic Comics. These are the people that are doing fulfillment. These are the people that are doing distribution. Do I trust these people to do the things that they say they're going to do? Yes. Okay, I'm going to leave the newspaper. So I left the newspaper, and as soon as I left the newspaper, there were people that, this happened when I left the Heritage Foundation too, but as soon as I left the newspaper, there were people that used to talk to me who were obviously unprincipled opportunists, who then they're like, oh, well, we only talked to this guy because we thought at some point in time in the future, we could leverage his access to newspapers, you know, to do whatever we want, or who knows what, I don't even know. Or we just like being close to somebody who has connections to a Washington, D.C. Newspaper, or something along those lines. Boom. They're just like, all right, now you're just some like guy who's just putting out indie comics. You don't even have the Washington Times to like help you do whatever anymore. Like they thought that the newspaper was going to somehow help me with my comics, or which is not the case, but whatever. Screwy things go through people's minds. So any of these people, boom, just drop out of my life. Then I leave the newspaper. There are people within indie comics. They're like these narcissistic, sociopathic sharks in the water. They smell blood in the water. He's like, oh, we were scared of this guy when he worked for a newspaper for whatever bizarro reason. You know, in their mind, that was like something where I don't want to mess with this guy. and then it's like blood in the water. Now he's just one of any number of people that are trying to put out indie comic books. So we're gonna go after this guy, and we're gonna take pot shots at him. We're gonna try and kneecap him. We're gonna lie about him. We're gonna launch smear campaigns about this guy, because we've been waiting for the day that he left the newspaper. And so all of that happened, and Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini were like the rocks, where they're like, boom, we're going to keep doing our thing and whatever. And so at a time in my life when I was putting all my chips in to Iconic Comics and Soul Finder and trying to give it an honest go at that, and all of this other crap started going on around me, Tim and Mark were the guys that were like, boom. They were not moving. They were planted in the sand, and they were doing their thing. And they were people that I was able to rely upon for honest and forthright advice and guidance and assistance and help and anything you want to say. So I guess the point of the story is if you want to trust people, trust something that Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini are involved in, because they have shown over the course of many years now that when they say something, they will follow through with it. Their yes means yes, and their no means no. And when they say, hey, we got a 3-piece in a soda campaign going on, check it out. This is going to be cool. It is going to be cool. Ironverse Comics, thanks for tuning in. Cody, I really appreciate it. Check out Ironverse Comics YouTube channel. Cody's been another dude that for many years now, he has put out solid material. He is a man who is honest and just hardworking and puts his nose to the grindstone, and he just keeps marching forward. And I've always appreciated that, and it's been inspiring to watch Ironverse Comics do his thing. So check him out as well. AL, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Ascendant Fiction says planning ahead is very important too, especially when it comes to marketing and plans. Yep, they are very good at that. Paul's NYCs. What I like a lot with all of those that publish through Iconic is that the books are done and you don't have to wait 6 months to a year. I pass on many campaigns because of the wait time. Yeah, so I was talking to somebody about that earlier today. Is I wanted Soul Finder to be out now for, I wanted to basically be like 12 months, 12 months, 12 months, 12 months, just boom, 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 hit it. But the thing is that's not always realistic for me, for a number of reasons, in part because I'm a writer, but there's a number of reasons that for me, it's just going to take longer. And I learned my lesson after Soul Finder Black Tide, where I redlined it to be able to get Black Tide out roughly 12 months after the release of Demon's Match. And there were a few things that I just was not happy with. Overall, I was very happy with the book. There's plenty of people that enjoy the book, but there's a couple little things here and there that if I would have given myself 3 more months, 4 more months to just tweak it a little bit more, I would have been much happier. We'll just put it that way. Still happy, would have been much happier. So then I learned that lesson and I applied it to Soul Finder Infinite Ascent. And that was the book. That was the first book where I was like, thank you. I was just able to do the thing that I wanted to do without any constraints on me. And I just did it, and boom. And so Soul Finder Infinite Ascent is, in my mind, of probably the best representation to date of what you will get from me when I don't have all sorts of essentially creative and professional chains on me. And Volume 4 is the same way, where I'm very happy with the way that is turning out, and I can't wait until that comes out. 72-page story, very happy with that. And then obviously Soul Finder Volume 5, that will be out, hopefully next year. So we will see. So Soul Finder Volume 4 and Volume 5 might be out in 2024. So that would be pretty cool. Paul says the reason if it is longer than 6 months to a year is that mostly every 6-month books are backed or anywhere from an additional 6 months to a year beyond. Sorry. Oh, I think it cut you off. Stinking the chat room. They only permit so many characters or whatnot. But anyway, the point is that I'm not going to force anything into existence at this point in time. I want to keep moving forward in an efficient manner, but I'm not going to put undue pressure on Matt or our colorist or Bill Williams as the letterer or any of that sort of stuff. I just want it to be the best possible book it can be. And I have wiggle room on when the books are released. And like I was saying, it's a 72-page story, plus there's another short story with Eric Canetti that's coming after that. That's a lot of pages all at once. If I was just doing like a 24-page comic or something like that, and it took me a year to do that, then I'd be like, that's weird. But it's 72 plus pages. It's basically like 80 pages a year. And like I said, I'm not an artist, I'm the writer. So different logistical hurdles that I face. Let's see. Paul's, if you do not have the script written in the book, at least laid out before putting it up for crowdfunding, you should be putting up your own campaign. So yeah, so that's the thing with me is I'm trying to always get as much possible done up front because I have seen people fall into the pitfalls of crowdfunding comics. I do not want to fall into those pitfalls. Ascendant Fiction, it's a fine line to ride between setting deadlines for an artist and also not putting too much pressure on them. We writers want the artist to enjoy the process too. Yeah, I've said before, I want Matt Weldon to be psyched when he is doing Soul Finder. I don't want him to be like, oh no, oh, like I don't want him to be rolling his eyes and being like, I just got to get through the next couple of months. No. Or something along those lines. This is a paycheck. I don't want him his mind ever going there. I want him to look at a script and read it and be like, dude, this is tight. This is a solid script. I can't wait to get my hands on this. Blah, 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 blah. Paul's, what I was trying to say is that most 6 months to a year campaigns end up being double that when finally delivering their books. Oh, yeah. No, again, I don't want to fall into those pitfalls. And I totally feel so. I was telling someone else today, I was like, my heart is always in many ways still the consumer advocate that I was in 2017. So I entered the creator realm, but my heart is always with the consumer or the customer or the reader or whatnot in terms of trying to lower the price point, in terms of making sure that the reader doesn't have to wait an insane amount of time from where they order it to get the book and all of that sort of stuff. And so, but I understand the hurdles and all of the challenges that a creator faces now that I'm doing it. And I appreciate that process much more. But again, my heart is still very, very much with the reader and wanting to make sure that the reader is very, very happy with the product they're getting and their interactions with me and all of that sort of stuff. So Ascendant Fiction, yeah, there's really no excuse to not at least have the script done before launching a campaign. If you launch a campaign and you don't have the script done, if you just have this like idea floating around in your head, that you are setting yourself up for some massive headaches, and you're kind of setting yourself up for failure most of the time, especially if you're an artist and not a writer. And I know artists don't like to hear that. Sometimes I rankle artists because I'm willing to tell the artist that you are an artist, you understand how to speak whatever language, whether you're from the United States or I don't know, South Africa or Japan, you speak your language, you can write it, but that doesn't mean you are actually a storyteller. It doesn't mean that you're actually a writer. You think you are, but that doesn't necessarily make it so. Maybe you are. Maybe you are the artist who just so happens to be a really awesome writer. But most of the time, people have their specialty for a reason. They've put many, many, many hours into studying their craft, and it shows in the final product. So if you've gone through your entire life, decades, never writing a story, and then the first time you decide I'm going to write, I could be a writer, is going to be on the comic book that you're asking people for like tens of thousands of dollars for, that's a really bad idea. You probably shouldn't do that. Or if you do that, you better surround yourself with actual writers who will tell you when you're doing stupid things. Like, even though I'm a writer, I surround myself with people that tell me when I'm doing dumb things, i.e., I should say e.g., my wife. My wife is a very smart woman, and she could look at what I write, and she can say, this needs to be tweaked. This needs to be tweaked. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? This would be better if you did this. This would be better if you do that. And then you have to, again, going back to earlier in the stream, humble yourself and be like, you know what? My wife is really smart. And when she tells me I'm doing something stupid, there's a high probability that I am, in fact, doing something stupid. And I should find a way to at least meet her halfway on this suggestion. Similarly, if in the past I went to Tim and Mark and said, hey, can you guys take a look at my script? And then they told me, like, hey, Doug, your climax here is missing something. You need to figure out what that is, because it's missing. There's a spice in the dish that needs to be there, but it's not in there right now. Right now, your dish is a little bland. You got to put a little salt in there, buddy. And then I have to be humble enough to be like, you know what? Tim and Mark are really smart guys, and they are very successful in their own chosen fields outside of indie comics, but also they're successful in indie comics. So maybe, just maybe, I should listen to Tim and Mark and maybe go in their direction. I don't need to take 100% of their suggestions, but it should at least give me pause if people I respect tell me I need to rethink a few things here or there. So I have found that a lot of people in indie comics, they will say that they want honest feedback, but when you give them honest feedback, they never really wanted that. They just wanted you to sign off on whatever it was they were doing, and they wanted you to tell them that they're geniuses. And the second that their project is out into the world will recognize your genius. Actually, no, that's not the case. You could be a genius, but a lot of times, even if you were a genius, but you're probably not, because most of us are not geniuses, but even if you were, you could put it out there and the world could turn its back on you. And that's just the way the world is, because the world is unfair. The world doesn't owe you a thing. But if it goes your way here or there, hey, just be grateful. And actually, you should be grateful for even the storms in your life as well, because the storms teach you a lot about yourself, and they make you a stronger person in many ways. But that's a whole other topic for another day, maybe a video. I don't know. So be grateful even when things are rough, because in the rough times, you get to learn about what you're made of. You get to figure out who you really are. There's the person that you say that you are when the sea is calm, and then there's the person you really are when the boat's rocking and it's in danger of capsizing. That's when you find out who you really are. So anyway, again, to just close out here, thank you again to everybody that's tuned in today. The Iconic Comics trifecta: Butch Killigan, Black Ops 6, Arc Athena 4. One more time, Sven.
Ever dream of having a three-way? Well, get ready to have your dreams come true as Butch Killigan joins Iconic Comics on the same day as the release of Black Ops 6 and Arc Athena 4. What does pizza and Iconic Comics have in common? They always deliver.
So anyway, I think that's about it for now. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. Ascendant Fiction is here. Paul's, anyone I missed, AL, Ironverse, Trevor, Mr. X, Matt, Brett, Slender Dad, Miss Martin. Anybody else I missed along the way? Just scrolling through here real quick. Appreciate that. So anyway, sign up if you haven't already for Black Hops, Butch Killigan, Arc Athena, if those look like they're up your alley. I know someone earlier said that they haven't checked out Arc Athena yet. Check it out. Solid series. Eric Canetti. Paul's, most creators are considered geniuses. Most creators are considered genius. Most who are considered so today, you find out they were just getting a paycheck to support their families. So, yeah. All right. I think that's about it. Again, thanks to everyone who tuned in. I'll be back in the near future with another stream or a video. Appreciate that. And again, thanks to everyone spreading the word. Appreciate it. You're awesome. See ya.